Welcome to Audience First, a podcast for tech marketers looking to break out of the echo chamber, to better understand their buyers, what motivates them, and what they hate that vendors do. It's time to unmute your mic. Are you ready? All right, welcome to another episode of Audience First. I have a very special guest in the house today. Michael, how about you tell me who are you, what do you do, and why the hell do you do it?
Yeah, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Michael Gorelick. I'm the CTO of MorpheSec, Chief Technology Officer, focusing on cybersecurity, doing that for more than 20 years, coming from a lot of red teaming, blue teaming, reverse engineering background, working with authorities, presenting in conferences. So you already know my passion, right? So founded MorpheSec 10.5 years ago, which is a very successful company today.
Tell me a little bit about why you got into this industry and why you started MorpheSec from the beginning.
I was learning for my master science degree in computer science. I had the opportunity to start working in the Ben Gurion laboratory under the university in Beersheba in Israel. Ben Gurion University had a lot of practice in cybersecurity. I think it was one of the leading universities today in Israel, if not the world, in cybersecurity. I joined Deutsche Telekom Labs, managed by Yuval, and this lab was very interesting. It had numerous of security projects. So I started as a software engineer and continued to be as a leader there. We spawned within, I think, 7 years. I was quite a while in the labs, playing with IP lists and firewalls and machine learning and whatever, everything from everything. It's the coolest start because you're starting from different projects. You're not diving in one world and just focusing on that. You're learning everything from everything. And it's all kind of theory until you get to the real ground environment. And I had the opportunity together with the guys in Deutsche to spawn an interesting startup that was based on T-Mobile data at the time. It's called Motion Logic. I wanted to go back to a doctor degree, and the CTO of Deutsche Telekom, their labs, convinced me, said, we have a cool idea. Let's start a company. Let's call it MorpheSec. And at the time, it was called differently, but the idea was very cool for me. And I said, okay, should I go to learn my doctor degree, continue with my practices, which are really low-level programming and low-level stuff, reversing things, etc. Mm-hmm. Or should I go and start something real, like a real company? And I remember his advice. He said, like, within a year or two, with this company, you learn more than you will learn in your doctor degree in the university. So I said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I love that. And so 10 years is a long time in the security space in the tech world. And I'm going to go off topic just a little bit. It's still on topic, but off the talk track that we originally discussed. What's changed in 10 years?
I would say it's more than 20 years together with all the security practice. 10 years within this company.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot changed. I went through so many changes. I remember the times, very interesting times. I remember specific periods. 2016, for example, was very interesting. 17, 18, it was the time of exploitation. It was like you can get to any website and you get something like a JavaScript exploit, a Flash exploit. It was a drive-by when every second person had an exploit hitting him, remote code execution, and you had so many people infected, like just zero click by just getting to compromised websites. And and the world needed solution. And at the time we thought, oh, great, we have great technology that solves that problem, in which we introduced actually MorphoSec. And then there was the times that I remember a little later, 2017, 18. I remember it started with all the supply chain and WannaCry, those big things. And again, it was like big changes. And then the changes with ransomware as a service, and everything is democratized in a
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
right? Big changes right now with the AI. This is huge change. But every time, I remember, again, before MorphoSec, I was working on other security stuff, like the introduction of IPv6. It's a great change. All those NATs, all those firewalls that need to adapt. So changes were all the time, and we'll continue to see changes.
Well,
It's really important to adapt quickly, right?
so how do security practitioners adapt successfully given the fast pace of change?
It's a great question. So whoever not adapts stays behind.
Yeah.
And I think this is some of the nature of successful personnel. And I'm trying to, when I recruit people, I usually retain for a while. I have like people under me work for many years. I recruit those that are extremely motivated and passionate.
Mm-hmm.
Those that usually go and review and look forward and research things that even during their work time and with all their things that they need to do, they still look forward and come to me and say, okay, oh shit, there's like a new stuff here. We need to think about that. We need to do something about it. And I myself, I'm working 24/7 at night. What I think about, and think about the next thing. And this is people that I need that work for me. And this is the people that will eventually succeed to adapt very quickly to changes.
Mm-hmm.
There are the other people that it's not bad, but people that feel comfortable
Yeah.
in the places they are.
Yeah.
But this is, I'm just a different type of person.
I appreciate your deep curiosity and your willingness to push your employees and your team to, continue researching and learn and be equally deeply curious. Now, your role as CTO also involves other functions, and that's research, malware research. And again, correct me if I'm wrong in terms of your responsibilities, but what does your role as a CTO at MorphoSec involve in terms of hands-on research versus strategic oversight?
That's a great question, because the role of a CTO changes over time, changes with the different companies, different periods. If this is a startup, it's one role which expands to a different role during growth period. The more customers you have, the more problems, the more issues, the more representing role. And you'll find different hats for different CTOs. You can even categorize and label those. And many CTOs, colleagues of mine and familiar that I know personally, they are the startup CTOs, innovative, driven. It's great. New ideas. How do we create those problems? And there are the CTOs that are on the business side, more of a, okay, now I need to grow the company. What do I do? And I needed to go through this transition, which is not easy. And while moving with this transition, you still need to maintain what you like and what you want, because otherwise you don't have the passion to go through going forward. And I really went through that, and the company started from day one. I was the one writing the drivers and writing the product, right? And doing the first supply chain detection, the biggest supply chain that was discovered. I personally discovered it. I had one of my guys saying, oh shit, but we see something with the CCleaner, and the CCleaner software that was on every desktop that was acquired by Avast at some point. I had one of my guys, and he moved to SentinelOne after 6 years or 7 years later on. He was like, we see some code, strange, we have some conflicts here, some bugs we just deployed, and some attacks false positive attacks that we intercept. And it looks like someone injected maybe some debug stuff inside the code. I'm looking at that code and I'm saying, oh shit, this is a supply chain. I have to contact the CTO of Avast. And I contacted them, and it was the largest one. It's infected 2-point-something million computers around the globe, just to target a couple of hundreds. And it was we were the first one to detect that. It's sort of extremely interesting
Yeah.
at some point. As a role of CTO, I went through, again, building the product from ground up, recruiting the people, doing a lot of those attack and incident response validations, and then meeting the customers, growing, closing the deals, doing all those presentations, conferences, luncheons, shaking hands. And it's also something that you enjoy. You also understand better the problem. One of the challenges is when you build a technology is understanding the problem.
Yeah.
And this was very important for me. And I think I went through this period successfully because today I can definitely meet customers, and I definitely succeed with that kind of connections, understand and evaluate the strategic trends that are happening while still heading the malware and incident response teams. And with the action that we have today, incident we have every week, like ransomware incidents and very cool stuff. So my hands are full.
To say the least.
So I have both things that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
in both growing the business.
So take me through, I'm deeply curious because we haven't touched on this on the podcast ever before. I'd love to know like the day-to-day of a malware researcher or incident responder. What does that look like?
Yeah, a big company, you usually have different teams. Even in malware research, you have so many things, different things that you can double down and focus, or even and have a different expertise, starting from incident responder, which is analyst, forensic analysis, right? And just malware reverse engineers, which is extremely challenging, and it requires a lot of expertise reading those bytecodes and opcodes. I was doing it at the age of 14. I was reading those opcodes. This one is one of the most interesting for me, at least. Maybe you'll see me as this guy is a strange guy, but this is what I enjoy. There are exploit developers, vulnerability researchers,
Yeah.
right? And those are just a bit of the different expertise that you have. And you also have the business requirements. Oh, I need a new blog. It's a new malware. Are you stopping it? Try to explain what is new in that malware. And while you are doing incident response on some incident that one of your customers have. So the day starts usually it's the weakest split. For malware researcher, you have the responsibilities of your analyzing the customer incidents, the regular incidents, attack logs, and these are the bigger incidents that you have. A weekend goes by and you have a ransomware event, all hands on deck, and you have the marketing block. So I need to do some analysis of some new stuff that I found. I need to push it, right? Marketing is bringing leads converted to business, etc. Starts from there. And there's also the work with engineering. You need to improve your product, essentially, right? So you need to do the POCs first. Okay, so what works? What do you need to develop? What kind of protection really works? And you need to take into account also the challenges of customers, because when you look and talk with malware researchers in the university, or those that are releasing all kind of researchers from the university, I'm a cool malware researcher, I know how to bypass EDR or something like that. It's very different in the industry because you cannot just develop anything. You may have conflicts, you may have business application challenges. Look at CrowdStrike that happened. So you cannot do anything you want.
Right.
And a good malware researcher that worked in the industry has to take it into account. Has to take the complexity. It cannot provide you just protection, any protection. So it's quite complicated. It's a full week work, and you need to prioritize a lot. And prioritization that changes on the fly. Every time you have a new incident, you need to reprioritize everything.
Right. What do you think are some of the personal qualities that a malware researcher who wants to get into the field should attain, and how can they nurture those characteristics?
It's a great question. And I think it touches a bit on the previous one that we started with, and it has to have passion and motivation. And the malware researcher have to do beyond what is asked to. If you are asking to reverse some malware, he needs to not only reproduce it, he needs to try and develop his own code maybe and apply it to different attacking techniques. when we reverse something, we immediately apply it to our own attack techniques and attack frameworks that we built in the background. So really, it's a lot about passion, interest, motivation. It's never boring. It's never the same. So adapting, changes,
I
etc.
imagine creativity as well.
Creativity, wow, so much creativity. Right now with the AI and ChatGPT and Gen AI overall.
Yeah.
So my guys are adapted it very quickly. They use it to reverse different malwares, Python codes, etc. So we definitely leverage that to improve our times. Definitely.
Speaking of AI, what are some other implications that they have on malware research and ransomware and just the state of the security industry?
So they definitely have implications on victims and customers of ours and overall organizations around the globe. There's a great tool, productivity tool, again, for malware researchers or even business employees. But it comes with the risk. For malware researchers, it comes less with the risk because they're not really exposing anything private, just reversing malware. It helps you to go faster. So it's really dependent on the context. But if, again, you are embedding your Copilot for business use and you are sharing and working with critical information, privacy, you have all these trends of prompt injection and direct prompt injection. Yesterday, you had this introduction of ASCII tags in which you can hide fully the export and the text itself, hide it from the eyes and export everything, exfiltrate it in a way. And overall, the adversaries themselves are utilizing AI today mostly for delivery. You don't have any more email mistakes, right? You have those video-generated AI stuff to, again, simplify the phishing, auto-generated websites, and other very cool stuff. And they are definitely leveraging AI. In some cases, I even found that was reported by OpenAI that Russian nation-sponsored groups were utilizing OpenAI to search for all kind of governmental facilities and this kind of stuff.
Shit.
And I mean, so yeah, obviously it's there. You use it, they use it.
Yeah.
And the regulation is still not quite there.
Are there any ethical challenges that researchers go through on a day-to-day basis? And if so,
Oh, definitely.
what are those and how do you work your way around that?
Definitely. And I would say those change between the country you are at, right? In Israel, for example, the line can be a bit blurred more than it would be in US, where you have more regulations, more restriction, both with regard to privacy and both with what you can do back to the attackers, right? Obviously, you work with the CISA in Israel, etc., but you still can intercept an attack and try to do something active, proactive, fill the ground and understand a bit more. Here, you are a bit less, let's say your hands are more tight in what you can do proactively or actively with regard to the adversaries. So you work more with the FBI and the authorities with regard to the different incidents and try to do as much as you can on those things. But there's a lot of ethical questions that you handle almost on a daily basis.
How do you balance the need for the long-term, in-depth research with the urgency of responding to emerging threats and threats that are happening? If you need to work with three-letter agencies, that I imagine is time-consuming.
It is. And sometimes a while ago when we were working, I would say, I'm not trying to, God forbid, trash no one.
Yeah.
And a while ago, I felt like the three-letter agencies were more reactive at our reports. Right now, I think their hands are full. So sometimes I get this 1 week response and people are like some FBI agents that are responsible for this or that, like less responsive in a way. I cannot blame them too much, but definitely they are less responsive. So you have to do what you can do, and time is money.
Yeah.
And this is actually why our solution is so good. It helps us, again, save time in incident response because it's a containment solution. It's preventive containment solution. So we find ourselves like dealing with Fortune 500 incident, ransomware incident. Just like a couple of weeks ago, we had Blackbuster, 10 hours back to operation. 10 hours is nothing. We are talking about an average that is at least a week of impacting operations of customers, etc. Here we are talking about due to that different solutions. But it's also expertise. So we're doing live analysis or live during the time when the adversaries are still in the network. And you still can, when you are the customer environment and you have the permissions, obviously, you can do stuff. You can do stuff to stop those things. And we see that a very good cooperation from customers. They give us the opportunity to really block those guys, to introduce all kind of methods I will not get into. But we really are with the customers. We're working with all their teams. It's usually Fridays and Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Israeli guys joining up to those teams. It's crazy. And then we are trying, it's a race, like trying to stop those guys. Sometimes it's on Sundays.
Oh, man.
It's middle of the night, and you have all the SOC teams of the customers. Like you have like between 5 to 10 people not sleeping weekends and trying to contain the incident. Really chasing with the bad guys, trying to close doors while they are opening new ones.
It's not even about getting ahead. It's about catching up.
It's about catching up. And sometimes it's real tough because some environments, customer environments, they don't have audit, they don't have logs, they hardly have like security controls in place. And the less information you have, the less chances that you can respond quick enough or contain it, because you need to find the 0 point and where it all started to avoid reopening the doors again and again. But it's extremely exciting. I have to say, it's extremely exciting. You do you do real stuff there, right? It's not a theoretical thing.
Pardon me for saying it. Borderline masochist. Come on now, because this I imagine takes a massive toll, this constant pressure of keeping up with the adversary. So what can teams do to alleviate that pressure? It's not only mental, it's emotional, it's physical, because you're staying up, it's 24/7. What are some of the methods to stay sane in this space?
I would say, from our side, we are in a way used to that because we know what we expect. And when we start the incident response, we are calm. And actually, the customers love it because you find the customers are usually in a position in which they see it the first time or the second time.
Yeah.
And all of them are all catching their hair and trying to, what do we do? And they are all panicking. Tomorrow I'll be without work, etc. And the best thing you can do is come to them and say, hey guys, I know, I saw that before. Yeah. You'll be fine. We know what we do. We'll deal with that. We'll solve it. Trust us. Mm-hmm. And within like minutes, you suddenly become like their best friend, and they trust you back.
Yeah.
If you are calm, believe me, they're going through hell.
Yeah.
So and we are used to that. Again, we see those customers, you see those faces again and again. So in a way, you're shielded.
Yeah.
You become shielded, like it's in Israel. You become adapting to that reality.
Right.
So you try to rest during the week, or those weekends that you don't have incidents are great ones to do some additional research.
There you go. It's never ending with you, huh?
Never ending. Right now I'm researching like exploitation of vulnerabilities. I just presented at the DEF CON and going to present at the Blue Hat right now. It's my new stuff.
We're going to have to link that in this episode, if at all, if it's external or public.
It is. It was public in DEF CON. Not including the latest C vulnerability that will be public and Blue Hat, but it's my new kink. It's actually interesting because malware researchers are going, even with all those responsibilities, they are shielded in a way, and it becomes a routine in a way. Mm-hmm. Now, and it's not only in malware researchers. I find that when I managed engineering and when the managed product is the same, you don't want routine too much. Routine is good until it becomes bad. And it's important to break routine. And one of the, I think at least one of the reasons when I had so good retention of employees, and I managed like more than 60 employees at the time, is waking them up with breaking routine. And this is exactly what I'm doing right now with the vulnerability research. Mm-hmm. And initially we started for marketing purposes, but we were doing vulnerabilities for a while. And I said then to the guys, let's do some fun stuff. they get paid for that.
Yeah.
Microsoft pays a lot of money, and they're enjoying it. They're breaking the routine from this stuff. They find vulnerabilities. They are paid, and they are, in a way, credited
Okay.
officially, publicly.
Yeah.
They win. I win. I broke the routine. They enjoy the stuff, and they get paid for that.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's a really cool stuff. And I do that as well on the weekends because I have to break my routines as well.
Now, there's one emerging theme that pops up in several of my episodes. It's silos in communication between different organizations, between the board, the executive level, C-level to the practitioners, boots on the ground. What advice would you give malware researchers to ensure that their work is appreciated and, more importantly, understood at the executive level?
Yeah, sometimes you are right, maybe like 100% right. A lot of times it's underestimated, their work, underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really clear that it's like the backbone for a lot of things. It's not only marketing, it's not only protection, it's not only product development, right? It's not only saving your customers and doing their services and providing ARR, additional revenue
Yeah.
to your customers. It's a lot, right? It's keeping up with the trend. It's representing the company. It's increasing the brand. It's a lot of things that somehow underappreciated because malware analysts or malware researchers are only considered as they analyze malwares. Okay. So what? We can do without analyzing malwares for a while. So the malware analysis itself is a small portion of what they do overall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important, and it's really dependent on how executive nature you are. It's important to transparently share that information, to vocally share that information with the executives, with the C-levels, and even the board. The more you do marketing research, the more it will obviously have its own voice, which is also important. But you're right about silos. It's overall a big problem in any companies, and even in our company at times there were that situation. So again, break up the transparency, do cycling. I'm doing a lot of cycling within teams, trying to change the responsibilities of the different members. At the time, I even moved people between teams, even like from core development engineering to malware researcher to backends, if I can, until I cannot. But this way they experience different things, and they are more open to communicate around about that. So if you can, let the people a bit like cycle them around their responsibilities. This helps.
I want to flip that question on its head and switch it to what should the C-level and executive level do to better understand and appreciate?
So surprising and not surprising, I think it's with any employee today, especially those with the high expertise, those that have the demand in the market. They know their value very well.
Yeah.
Usually I find, again, employees are first. It is about the manager, the leader, the status of their own practice, how they can develop, and then the money. The money, again, compensation, let's call it, not the money, like the compensation overall. I find that more and more employees want to know exactly where the company is. They want to see a future. They want to impact that future, and they want to see ROI, return on investment, in a way, from the company.
Right.
They want to be part of the success of the company. So if the first thing fails, not good enough leader or manager, and they do not believe in the leader, it doesn't matter how much you compensate, they will not stay with you for a while. This is the first thing. So if you want to have a good transparency, you want to maintain those researchers that can easily find job, even in the very hard market today. Those that are experts can in a second find jobs. There are not enough expertise. You need to be a good leader. You need to motivate. You need to show opportunities. You need to, again, break those routines in a way, provide challenges, interests. This is a good leader, right? Then obviously you want to show that the company is heading to a successful path. And then you need to compensate them. It goes without saying.
Take me through a little bit how Morphosec is now innovating with regards to ransomware protection and how that progressed from day one all the way 10 years forward.
Yeah, we started, as I mentioned, again, we introduced moving target defense basically to the world. And this
Which
is the
one? Say it
idea,
again.
moving target
Moving target
defense,
defense.
AMTD, automated moving target defense, as described by Gartner.
Mm-hmm.
We initially established the term of MTD, which was actually supported by the Homeland Security in 2014. It was mentioned by NIST in 2012. And we pushed it to new frontiers. So basically automated moving target defense, basically shifting the attack surface all the time, creating unpredictable attack surface, basically applying deception in a way to find the predictable kind of patterns of attack surface. This was really helpful in 2016, as I mentioned, for fighting exploits. So really cut those bastards in a way, really saved a lot of victims and then the supply chains. And the more ransomware went through evolution, ransomware as a service, ransomware become much more advanced. Today, there are trends of almost every EDR is being tampered. So you have a great layer on your security, endpoint security controls, EDRs, right? Which is adopted in North America, but less in the APAC. But almost every ransomware that we see every week is like the EDRs are being tampered. There are trends of bring your own vulnerable devices and other trends, which are not getting to the technical stuff too much. But the EDRs are being tampered. The ransomwares are utilizing legitimate applications signed by Microsoft, which are vulnerable. The initial access goes through exploitation of vulnerable Citrixes or Fortinets or the Movit or whatever, everything that is exposed. The ransomware operators working as a service. You have the initial access brokers, you have those that do the lateral movement, you have expertise everywhere. It's not one player. So you can imagine that at every stage of the ransomware operation, you have experts working and targeting your organization, which eventually leads to this 75 million payout that you had in February, which is a significant, obviously. So what do you do with that? How do you find it? You have to innovate. You have to provide a better prevention, but you also have to provide a better proactive visibility to try and reduce that attack surface prior to being infected. And you also need to think post-mortem. Okay, so you were unfortunately compromised. You have the initial access, you have the lateral movement, the ransomware is now being deployed, right? How do you prevent or stop or mitigate the encryption, right? The post-mortem. And then even further, you want to have a proper IR plans to know, okay, so who do I approach if I'm being infected?
Right.
With whom do I negotiate?
Right.
Who is responsible for the release to the media? And all those things. And when thinking about this kind of a ransomware problem, not just the encryption, like many companies are trying to say, hey, we are a ransomware solution, we are fighting the encryption. Ransomware is more than encryption, right?
Yep.
So when we were thinking about that, we started with protection against exploits, continuing with let's stop the advanced malware, and prevention with AMTD was our main strategy for many years. And then we decided, okay, we have to deal with this problem, the ransomware problem. We obviously still, let's say, utilize the prevention, which is a great additional layer on top of existing EDRs, which are either way tampered. And it introduces this deception into the game, in which it helps, again, to fight against those predictable ransomware operators. But we also introduce proactive visibility, exposure management to all the risks that you may be used or utilized or exploited in a way by those same ransomware operators. And we also provide, again, a deception-based protection against encryption, in a way, decoys and all kind of stuff that the ransomware suddenly sees non-real view of the file system. And even further, we also provide services. And the same services can do cyber risk assessment, can help you with tabletop, can help you with your IR plan. So really a full holistic solution for ransomware, called the anti-ransomware platform, which we introduced, and it's really composed of tiers, right? It's all, we're coming from this advanced prevention, but really we have all those layers. And I'm really proud that, especially on the exposure management that we introduced starting of this year, it's scaled so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a lot of our customers like it. We show them specifically the exposure around ransomware. A lot of customers are saying, okay, I have to be compliant, and you have all those 350 NIST compliance points, never compliant. But what we do is we're taking those that are really utilized by the ransomware operators and saying, okay, here you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need to say, to do, right? To reduce the attack surface. And this helps. We even check out, okay, here you have security controls, not operational right now. You need to do something about it to have a complete kind of security posture.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the more holistic approach to ransomware.
Right. We're headed towards the end of the session. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or impart on the audience today?
After every kind of conference presentation I'm doing, and even the last one when I done in DEF CON on the main stage, I had a lineup of different people that are just starting to practicing that malware research or incident response or forensic analysis. And they're asking, okay, how can I get easier into that?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice can you provide me? How do you find all those vulnerabilities? How can I find that? It's really tough without having a good advisor, without someone that can push you through or provide you the right hand in the right moment. There's a lot of data over the internet, and a good, passionate, self-motivated, and focused person can practice enough and advance himself to show value to any job opportunity today. There's no requirements really of BC and bachelor degrees, and it's only like official. But if you prove yourself, it's not important. To many of the companies I know I work to, if you're not heading to be executive, you need to be good, and you can show how good you are in a second.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about self-focus, motivated, passionate. Open your virtual machine, run a couple of malwares on that. Try to understand what they are. Open IDA, try to reverse engineer those things and see if it works for you. Because sometimes you find yourself, oh, this is a cool topic, but when you start to get into that, shit, it's a bit too complicated for me. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And try to find someone that can consult or advise you. You may find the right people. Try to approach in LinkedIn. Yeah. I have approaches. I have people that are approaching and sending messages. I'm trying to respond to them and help them with the first direction. I really have a lot of those. And you really appreciate those guys that sending you a direct message. Hey, can you direct me or help me? What would you do the first thing? I would love to provide that recommendation because they succeed. I eventually succeed. Those are the next guys you'll see in the industry somewhere working on the, I don't know, Capital One or Chase or whatever. And it's good. You know them, they know you, and you help each other eventually.
Exactly. Right? That's beautifully said and very noble. We'll definitely link your LinkedIn account in the episode, the show notes of the episode. Michael, this has been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you joining us today on the show.
It was a pleasure as well for me as well.
And like I said, we got to get you over to Hollywood for the first time, get you in the studio over there. But you're always welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This has been another episode of Audience First. We are out.
This episode of Audience First podcast was sponsored by MorphiSec. MorphiSec's anti-ransomware assurance suite provides distinct layers of protection to preemptively reduce the organization's exposure and proactively prevent attacks at multiple phases, from early infiltration attempts to protecting critical system resources and data when ransomware attempts to execute. Powered by automated moving target defense, this streamlined solution effortlessly integrates with your current endpoint protection array, enhancing existing protection capabilities or standing strong independently when necessary. To learn more about MorphiSec or get a demo, visit morphisec.com.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Audience First. If you like what you've heard, feel free to follow or subscribe to Audience First on Apple, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast streamers.